Putin bad news. Russia announces it will launch a rapid counteroffensive against Ukraine. In the midst of the ongoing conflict between Russia and Ukraine, it has been claimed that Russia has begun a counteroffensive operation in the settlement of Pokrovsk, which is located in Ukraine. As Ukraine began its own offensive operation in the Russian territory of Kursk, Ukrainian military authorities posted a post on Telegram on Friday stating that Russian troops were advancing at a fast pace in Pokrovsk. This came at the same time that Ukraine began its own offensive operation in Kursk. With every passing day, there is less and less time to collect personal belongings and leave for safer regions, the Ukrainian military authorities stated, as reported by the Associated Press. They appealed to the people who were residing in the town to evacuate as swiftly as they could. A post that was published on X, which was formerly known as Twitter, was shared by the President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, on Thursday. The post stated, "Today at the staff meeting, I received a report from Commander-in-Chief Syrsky. At the front line, our primary defensive directions include Toretsk, Pokrovsk, and other locations also. These regions are currently being subjected to the most violent Russian assaults, and we are giving them our best attention so that we can defend ourselves. The priority supplies, which include everything that is required, are being transported there." A separate report was made by the Commander-in-Chief regarding the operation that took place in Kursk Oblast. Fresh advancements have been made there. Our so-called exchange fund has been filled with additional funds. In addition, General Syrsky announced that the city of Sudza had been successfully freed from the control of Russian soldiers. In that location, a commandant's office for the Ukrainian military is now being erected. Several further communities have also been freed from their shackles. The overall number is greater than 80, Zelensky stated in his tweet. During the beginning of this month, Ukraine began its own offensive operation in the Russian territory of Kursk. This comes at a time when the conflict between Belarus and Ukraine has continued to escalate. The unexpected cross-border raid that Ukraine carried out has resulted in the evacuation of thousands of Russian citizens from Kursk and the neighboring territories. This comes as military hostilities have intensified across the southwestern region of Russia. On Tuesday, Zelensky announced that Ukrainian forces had succeeded in seizing control of more than 70 settlements located within Russian territory. He also stated that hundreds of Russian servicemen had been seized, which contributed to the exchange fund that the country maintains for prisoners of war. On the other hand, the Russian Ministry of Defense announced on Thursday that its armed forces continue to repel the Ukrainian offensive. Additionally, the ministry stated that Kyiv has lost around 2,600 troops since the beginning of the violent conflict in Kursk. Recently, General Christopher Cavally, who is currently serving as the Supreme Allied Commander Europe for NATO, discussed the offensive that Ukraine launched in Kursk and criticized Russia's response to the military operation. The answer that Russia will provide to the invasion of Ukraine is still being pieced together. Up to this point, it has only been a rather slow and scattered reaction, he stated during an event that was held by the Council on Foreign Relations. Russia does not determine who is in a position of leadership. According to Cavally, the Ministry of Defense is in charge of military operations within Ukraine, but it is not responsible for activities within Russia. Proud of getting support from a sufficient number of Democratic delegates to clinch a momentous nomination for President Harris. According to Vice President Kamala Harris, she is proud to have earned the support of sufficient Democratic delegates to become her party's nominee against Republican Donald Trump. This comes as senior Democrats have rallied around her in the wake of President Joe Biden's decision to withdraw his candidacy for re-election. In the late evening of Monday, July 22nd, a number of state delegations, including those from Texas and California, Harris's home state, gathered to reaffirm their support for Harris. Harris had the backing of at least 2,579 delegates by the time Monday night rolled around, according to the tally of delegates that was compiled by the Associated Press, AP. This number is higher than the 1,976 delegates that she will need to win on a first ballot. A delegate did not designate any additional candidates for the position. Clicking on the share icons located in the top right corner of an article will allow you to share it with others. In the absence of previous express authorization from Le Monde, It is strictly prohibited to reproduce an item in its entirety or in part. You can get additional information by reading our terms and conditions. Please send an email to syndication@lemonde.fr for any and all authorization requests. The first public speech that Kamala Harris has given since her husband's shocking withdrawal from the race is available at https://www.lamond.f/article/202/007/22/Kamala-Harris-Hales-Biden-6 /2-69-443-8 Rusty Hicks, the committee chairman for the Democratic Party in the state of California, stated that between 75 and 80% of the state's delegation was on a call, and they overwhelmingly supported Harris. I've not heard anyone mentioning or calling for any other candidate, Hicks explained to reporters. Tonight's vote was a momentous one. Harris, who is pledged to win the election in November, recognized the roller coaster of emotions that he has experienced as a result of Biden's decision to withdraw from the fight for the White House. Over the next 106 days, we are going to take our case to the American people, and we are going to win, Harris told her campaign staff in Delaware on Monday. We are going to win. It's been a roller coaster, and we're all filled with so many mixed emotions about this. I just have to say I love Joe Biden. As she criticized the first past leader of the United States to be convicted of a crime, Harris referred to her opponent in the election as predators and cheaters earlier on Monday. While Harris was speaking to her colleagues about her previous experience as a prosecutor in the state of California, she said, "In those roles, I took on perpetrators of all kinds, abusers of women who were predators, consumer fraudsters who took advantage of customers, those who cheated by breaking the rules for their own personal advantage. Allow me to state that I am familiar with the personality of Donald Trump.